All right, we have another Suns preseason game in the books. We got our whole rundown. We got all the hosts here. Ayrton's here. Graphics are ready. I feel like, are we missing something?
We got our shoes on. We forgot our little boo-boos.
Psychos and sickos unite for a full house edition of PHNX Suns, of course, presented by Bet365. Make sure you download Bet365 app today, deposit $5, place a bet for $10, and get $200 in bonus bets with promo code PHNX. It is never ordinary at Bet365. Never ordinary on PHNX Suns. I'm Erik. That's Steven. That's Espo. We got Mr. Labubu behind the Mac, making all the magic happen, a.k.a. Freckled Mamba, a.k.a. Ayrton, a.k.a. he's really sick of all the nicknames that I've been giving him, making all the magic happen.
He's
but
not
of course,
a.k.a. Ayrton. That's his name.
He's a.k.a. Ayrton. Appreciate everybody joining us in the chat, including Larry, Lenny, and my dad. Happy birthday to my dad, Papa Ruby's birthday. Matthew also joining us as well.
How is that not what you led the show with?
Hey, what are you? We're 30 seconds into the show.
You said all this other stuff and a cold open and a 30-second intro.
You want me to start off the cold open by saying happy birthday
Why
to him?
not? Your father.
Obviously.
Bro, you've never been angrier at me.
No, I was angry when you just said hi, Jeff, in the chat instead of saying hi, Dad.
I didn't say hi, Jeff.
You don't disrespect
That
your
day you
elders
did.
like that.
Oh my God, it took me 10 seconds. I said happy birthday to my dad before I said anything else on the show, and all of a sudden
you said a lot about the show.
Mr. Ruby, Steven and I apologize to you. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And yes, for your birthday, we will get that man's name, who I won't talk about, the former number 35 on the team, off the intro. Just for you, sir.
Mr. Ruby, again, I check your son for
Dude,
how he's
y'all suck.
how he's handling his father consistently being in the chat. And it's his birthday of all things, and you didn't start it off.
Bro.
You should have been a cold open. If it was my mom's birthday, I would be like, "Hey, y'all, we're gonna start the show out by saying happy
Well, we've
birthday
definitely
to
done
Mama
a show on your mom's birthday.
We definitely
past
didn't
year.
because I wasn't home. I wasn't here for my mom's
Then
birthday.
you should have called in and said happy birthday on the show.
He was there to say happy birthday.
I was in
to
person,
his
right.
mom.
Okay, and I'm seeing him tonight, and I already texted him.
Apparently,
How am I getting attacked here?
Mr. Ruby says he loves you. So
I love
Dad
you too,
still
Dad.
loves
Unlike
you.
what they want to make it seem like. God, you guys suck.
Carol,
You
we're
guys suck.
disciplining Erik for how to treat his pops.
Bro,
He treat his dad like he's just some other dude in the chat.
No, I don't.
Can I give Mr. Ruby a gift? I did something to benefit all of us.
Yeah,
but
please
I think
change
it's for
please change the
Mr.
subject.
Ayrton, do you have that graphic that I sent you? Let's pull this up. While I was gone last week on vacation, I decided things have gone too far off the rails when it comes to Arizona sports, and I reached out to, you know what, I'm just going to say an Etsy witch. I know we didn't know that those existed until recently when a Seattle Mariners fan did this, but it worked for Mariners fans. So I decided, you know what, we need to do this for Arizona sports. And I reached out to her, and she did this whatever curse reverse that she does. And she sent me a message this morning. She said, Greg, yes, that's my legal name. The energy now stands in alignment for renewal. Alignment. There's more to it, but I saw alignment, and I thought, that's it. It's going to be a good year. And I had to share it on the show today. Just for you, Mr. Ruby.
Happy birthday, Mr. Ruby.
I've fixed Arizona sports and the Suns.
I tried to fix a father-son relationship, but every chance he gets, he tries to take something back. We'll get there one day.
You're just mad because I made a comment about your short
We'll
pants
get there one day, and today
before
is
the
just
show.
not the day.
Yeah, Mr. Ruby, we tried.
I've been trying for almost a calendar year now.
Yeah. We got Suns to talk about?
No, man, I think I'm good. Honestly, I think I'm fine. I think y'all got it. I'm just going to sit here and think about how I could be a better son. Oh, wait, never mind. How about the better Suns? Because it has been a fun preseason so far. Obviously, they did drop game 3 in Brooklyn to the Nets 111-109. Still lots of good to take away from that one. The tip-off time, not one of those things.
Oh my God.
Brutal stuff. I will be honest, I had to record and watch it later because I didn't get home till 2 a.m. because of ASU. So
you should have just powered through. I mean,
Dude.
by that point, pregame started at 3:30. Like,
no chance, dude.
Steve and I were up at 4 a.m.
Well, you guys obviously are the real psychos and sickos, unlike me.
Espo tweeted top of the top Sunday morning.
I actually tweeted it like midnight just because that made it make more sense, you know?
Also true.
Bro, now you got my dad's in the chat like having to defend me being a good son because of the slander that's being put on my name in this chat. What were our big takeaways? I did watch the game. I just didn't watch it at 4 a.m. I would have if I didn't have a post-game show the night before. What were our takeaways in game 3 of the preseason, game 2 in China, the first loss for the Suns?
I didn't read anything into losing because by
it's
the time you lose, you're riding guys that are likely in the G League, and David Duke Jr. taking so much heat for a foul there that, come on, it's preseason.
Between Mr. Duke Jr. and your boy Jared Butler, he ain't let nobody off the hook.
No,
He treating it like it's an actual do or die and must win and gotta have it.
I mean,
I didn't
appreciate
tweet
that
anything.
point.
I didn't tweet anything about David Duke Jr. I will say that. Listen. I know at the end of the game, there's stuff that you could point to, and I know we talked about Jared Butler in the moment on Friday, and I get it, but I think that we can kind of take that grouping of players and we can kind of put them off to the side. Obviously, we got 5 minutes from Kobe Bryant. We don't need to touch too much on that. 0-2 from the field, but I think like we always do, we should just start with the starters. And why don't we start with the star, our big, bright, shining star presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playedgila.com for more details. It was Devin Booker. Now, not like the starriest of star lines for Devin Booker in 26 minutes. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. 4-12 from the field, but 3 of 5 from deep and 7 of 8 from the line. I felt like the offensive process for Devin Booker, Steven, has been pretty good, and I'm especially liking how quick he is to pull that deep ball.
Yeah, he's picking his spots well. I think they're putting him in good positions to be his best version of himself in that as well, which is the most important part because there's going to be naturally a little bit of rust as far as how players are performing. But what can't be rusty is the process. And this is where you're laying that foundation for the ways in which you want to put him in position to not always have to create for himself, but also have a process and a system that's kind of working in tandem with him. So I think it's been fun to see the ways he's operated so far this preseason. Clearly the 3-ball is something that he's looking to value more coming into it, and he has a system that's putting him in that position to be successful there.
Yeah, I think everybody seems to be valuing that 3-ball a little bit more. But what I felt good about when it came to Book was the fact that we saw that heater. Like, he got hot there, and there was a stretch where you're like, that's the Devin Booker we all came to know and love. And that's what I felt very encouraged by, because offense in preseason is disjointed. You see guys like Dylan Brooks taking, what do you have, like 15, 18 shots the other day? Mm-hmm. Like, there's weird things that happen in the offense in preseason, but that stretch from Book made me go, all right, that's the guy. We don't have to worry about any additional minutes out of him, which we won't see him play on Tuesday. That's a foregone conclusion. Yeah. But overall, you saw what you needed to from Book. There's no doubt that offensive skill is still there, distributed as well. Devin Booker is Devin Booker. I don't need to see more.
And I think the Devin Booker is very important because he wasn't Devin Booker for the entire game. They didn't need to be Devin Booker for the entire game, but you saw it in the last two. That was like, okay, a switch was kind of flipped and helped push the Suns forward when needed to. And I do know that, like, walking into the season, we're talking about, can Devin Booker score 30 points? He's going to be the guy. I think one of his best assets is knowing when to flip that switch. Mm-hmm. And I think he understands he's going to probably have to flip it a couple more times this season. but he's so good at not stepping on the game. And one of the really encouraging things from just this whole preseason for me is just how spread out the scoring has been. I get it's preseason, and I get a lot of guys are getting a lot of minutes, but you look at the starting lineup, 18 points from Devin Booker, 9 points from Grayson Allen, 12 from Oso, 12 from Dillon Brooks, 7 from Ryan Dunn. There's not really a huge discrepancy there, even though all of them pretty much just played about 20 minutes per game. I do think that as much as it's going to be on Book to drive this offense, it's also going to be death by 1,000 cuts for the Suns to win a lot of these games this year.
I think why we saw so many guys score and why we have in preseason is because Devin Booker understands that work is more for those guys right now than him needing to be the one taking the shots and him needing to be the one that takes over the offense. So I think that's why you've seen a more equal distribution. It's going to be top heavy with Book and Jalen Green. You may see nights where Dillon Brooks is that second guy because he gets hot from three. But I don't think once we get into the swing of things that you're going to see an equal distribution. This is a team still built for Devin Booker and Jalen Green to carry a majority of the offense.
Yeah, I think the not stepping on the game part is important because this is where you also instill confidence in guys, and it can't come from anybody but him. It's not going to hit the same if it's coming from anybody but him. And I think him trusting the pass is something that's permeating across the entire team. He gets into an early pick and roll. He gets off of it quick. Now Colin gets into a pick and roll. The defense is doing all of this, and now they have what's called the blender, where the defense is just rotating, and it ends up getting back to him after him getting off of it early in the clock for a wide open catch and shoot three. And I think that's the important part.
And where I think that you may see that more equal distribution is because the defense is leading to the offense in a lot of cases, which means the ball doesn't have to automatically go to Book. It's whoever's running after that defensive steal or block or whatever the case may be. So I think that's where you may get some more equal distribution, just because that is a more random play than running a specific offensive set.
I think playing random is definitely something this team is going to lean into. I just think the personnel is very fit for it. And we'll talk about how Jalen Green and Mark Williams can kind of fit in this randomness. Just to put a bow on the Booker conversation, how have we felt about his defense this preseason? Obviously, he had 5 steals in game 2 against the Nets. He comes away with 1 steal on Sunday. Do we feel like we've seen him maybe be about as engaged as he possibly could be for a preseason game?
I mean, he's been attentive off the ball. I feel like that's where most of his shortcomings have come. And it's not for a lack of wanting to do something. It's just that balancing act of knowing where your man is and knowing where the ball is and what's going on and being able to balance both and not being too locked in on one side. And I think there's a play in, I think it was maybe the second or third quarter, where he got a deflection on someone trying to cut. I think it may have been a roller, actually. And if he wasn't in tune with where the ball is as well as where his man is, he would have got caught in limbo, and we would have saw a little bit of what we saw against Jackson Hayes, where you get caught in between and you end up, kind of getting on the poster a little bit. So I think he's been more attentive off the ball. I think that's where everything starts from as far as being better defensively.
Well, and it helps when you have a team defense that is swarming, is active, where the last 2 seasons you didn't necessarily see that from this team. It's almost infectious what you see from Dillon Brooks. We've seen Grayson Allen be a little bit more active now that he's trimmed down again and he's doing those things defensively. When you play as a unit, everybody starts to look better, and it's a lot easier to put in that extra effort because if I hedge on this guy, I can trust the guys behind me to take care of things. Like, I think overall we're going to feel a lot better about the defense as a whole, including Devin Booker's.
Yeah, and everybody's just going to be put in a better situation. And, I'm really excited for some of the guys beyond like the Ryan Dunn, the Dillon Brooks, the guys who have made their name playing defense, but seeing what Grayson Allen can do in this setting, what Royce O'Neal can do in this setting. I think those are the guys that are going to kind of benefit the most as far as how night and day it's going to be, at least from a scheme and from an athleticism and versatility standpoint on the defensive end. And I think the defensive end is a good place to also go to our PHNX factors of Sunday. That's right. There's 2 of them, and it's the 2 centers that played the most minutes. Starting center Ighodaro, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal in 20 minutes, shooting 5 of 7 from the field and 2 of 3 from the free throw line. And then maybe the most surprising member of the PHNX Suns overachievers in preseason. That's Nick Richards, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block in just 16 minutes, missed 1 field goal, 2 free throws, and your favorite, Espo, a plus 10 for Nick Richards.
Up that trade value. Up that trade value. Like, I'm happy for him. He's a guy that came in and tried to stop the bleeding at the worst position on that roster last year. He has a good motor. Obviously, he's more suited to be a backup center necessarily than a starter. And he came in and he did exactly what was expected of him. I'm happy for him. I don't know how this center rotation is going to net out. There's conversations to be had there that I'm sure we will eventually get into. But, I was happy to see that. But also hitting free throws made me irrationally happy that early in the morning, because I'm like, if you can do this, hit 2/3 of your free throws, maybe half of, a little more than half, but 2/3 of your free throws would be great, because then you can trust him to be out there and all these other things that he does so well, the passing, the rebounding, the smarts, you can unlock that. But if he misses them like we saw earlier in the preseason, it becomes a lot more difficult to keep him out there.
The number that comes to mind with both of those two in mind for me is 5, and that's combined offensive rebounds from this most recent preseason game. So the Suns had 11 total. Those two had 5 of those. One that stands out for me, I think it's the end of the third quarter or second quarter. Nick Richards taps it out directly. It was the third quarter. Jordan Goodwin, and he gets the opportunity to knock down the 3 at the buzzer. Those two, I think all of their offensive rebound second chance points came from those two in particular. But the other thing is their short roll playmaking for me. They're making not necessarily always the best decision, but a quick one is never a wrong one, because you're keeping a defense in rotation. And them making those quick decisions, knowing that their guards are getting double teamed the ways that they are, is part of the screen IQ part, because you have to find a way to manipulate that action if they're giving you a numbers advantage. And those two play integral to that. Also within that, the big Nick energy. One time he missed the dunk, but the catch and the one dribble to not look to pass it, I'm open and I'm taking one strong dribble and I'm trying to put somebody in the basket with the ball. That's what you want to see, more force from that center group.
That was when he cocked back, right?
Yeah.
He just missed it. Oh,
yeah. And that was after he made a short roll read right before that, the possession before, so he was in a nice flow.
I think I've been really impressed by Nick Richards.
Yeah.
And we mentioned it last week, he just looks a little quicker, a little more decisive, a little bit more comfortable in his role. And centers like that, like, let's be honest, like Nick Richards is a backup center who can give you spot starting minutes if you need it, especially if you're on a good team, you have a lot of talent around him. We saw him take advantage of that last year when he first got to the team, put up 20 and 20 and had some really good offensive performances. But he's also the kind of guy that if he is not utilized the right way, put in the right position, and maybe having to overthink the game a little bit, he just slows down a little bit. He can't use his athleticism. I never saw him as like an overtly athletic guy, right? Enough to get by at that position, but nothing that wows me. I think defensively, the activity and the blocks around the rim and the rim protection have been really great from him. I think he's had a really quick jump, which is important as a center. And then finishing around the rim, it's just, I think he's a little bit more bounce, a little bit more quick twitch. And if he gets better on the margins, like, I know you're talking up the trade value, and that could definitely be important. Listen, we don't know how many games Mark Williams is going to play.
No,
and also Ighodaro hit 2 or 3 free throws, yesterday, but he might have a game where he's 1 of 6 like he was in game 1 against the Lakers, and he can't be out there to end a game. We don't know how Kaman Malawach is going to play, and I know there's some takeaways you've had from his game so far early on, and maybe some things that you'd like to see improve. Nick Richards might end up playing the most underratedly big role on this team this year, even though he's one of few positions that has 4 guys on the roster.
Yeah, I certainly could see that. And it's a little jest when I say up that trade value.
But it's also true.
I mean, that's the perception. But and I think you can read a lot into the fact that Oso started 2 of these games.
Yeah.
That there's something that they like about him in this offense that you're not going to get from the other centers. And that's why I think he's going to earn minutes. And maybe he's not out there at the end of the game, but he's going to earn minutes through this. He's a serious contender when it comes to minutes at that center rotation. I think Kaman is the guy that does not have a large role to start in the rotation. I saw some things in these last few preseason games where he kind of defensively, an area where we thought there's no question there. He's kind of getting off his feet when he shouldn't. He's not. There's little things like that I think he has to learn. He's got to get in to the speed of this game. When he switches, not overcommitting on things and letting guys get by him. Little things that I don't feel confident putting him out there for any major minutes to start. Like, you've got to let him grow into that. So maybe Nick Richards is part of your equation until you're comfortable with Kaman stepping in there. And you make a good point. And, you're going to have to deal with Mark Williams and whatever those injury questions are as well.
Yeah, the operative word with Kaman Malawach is patience. And I repeat that time and time again. He's a work in progress. And I think that this most recent preseason stretch in Game 3 was the most obvious of it. Just because it feels like he knows what he's doing. If you kind of gauge it on a per play basis, you can see like, okay, he understands what he's doing. He understands what he's doing. And then there's like one moment where he just gets a half step behind, leads to a foul, leads to a dunk, leads to what should have been a finish over an advantage in the paint. Now a smaller guy like Cam Thomas is getting a steal, or someone else is able to block his shot before he can get it up. Just little things like that. I think it's going to come in time. It's going to take some work. And I think that he has a good group of centers to go up against at practice to expedite that process, but he's not ready for game reps against starting caliber players yet.
As a great philosopher, Freckled Mamba once said, Giannis with a jump shot.
We will see this kid round into shape, and I think by the end of the year we'll play quality minutes and will be a defensive stalwart that can anchor the center of the defense. He's just not there yet, and there's nothing wrong with that, with how young he is, and how little opportunity he had to grow because he was in college such a short time, and he's only been playing the game a short time. So I have no problem with that. I'm not putting any ridiculous expectations. I just think everybody needs to keep that in mind, that if he's not in the rotation for the first 15 games, that's not, oh, well, he's not good enough. He's got to learn at this level.
Before we move on and talk about Jalen Green and Mark Williams and how they are going to fit into what we've seen so far and when we expect them to play, so make sure you all stick around for that. Let's wrap up the final preseason game talk. I know that we've talked about the centers and Booker. What were maybe one or two other key takeaways, players that you were watching that popped for you, Steven, from Game 3?
It's the X factors for me, and that's Nick Richards and also Ighodaro. Erik, we can go ahead and get up the ice coverage graphic. So nice definition to accompany what we're speaking to here. But those two defend in unique ways from one another. With Oso is a little bit more switching that happens on the court because he's just a little more of an athlete in space and able to keep up with guards. But when Nick Richards is on the court, you see them do a lot of what's called ice coverage, or some teams call it weak coverage, some teams call it blue coverage, some teams call it down. All it is a no-middle iteration of defense where you don't want teams to be getting straight direct access to the paint. So if you see somebody that kind of is influencing someone away from the paint, and it's like, why are they not standing in front of their man in the basket? It's because they have the center, which is also Ighodaro or Nick Richards, standing around in the paint, and their ball handlers being influenced towards them. And that's where the concept of a lot of their defense that they're getting into is. So they like to keep teams on the outer thirds of the court away from the paint and allow for their bigs to be what they're supposed to be in the paint, which is figuratively and literally big.
I love that.
Yeah, I think for me, vibes. And I hate I hate that because it's a word that isn't big for me, but this team actually seems like they enjoy being around each other and playing. And that stood out in the two games in China to me, and in particular in the final game. And on the, I don't want to say negative side, but on something I didn't fully expect, Nigel Hayes-Davis has not been able to shoot the ball. Yeah. And if that continues, he's not going to find himself in a legitimate spot in this rotation because they can't afford, you already got done that you have questions with that. If Nigel can't find that rhythm, I don't think he's going to play minutes, where I think we came in and thought he could be a dark horse, but it hasn't looked good so far.
And he still can. He's not playing with maybe some of the top-end talent that he would usually be playing with, and he knows that that's what his role would be. I've really liked what I've seen from Colin Gillespie, especially in the three-point shooting realm and just how smooth and how strong his base and his shot looks. So I think that's a really, really encouraging thing that I've been noticing throughout this preseason. And you know what? Jordan Goodwin, you might get minutes, man. You might get minutes, especially early on.
I tried to tell you.
He might get minutes. He might get a guaranteed contract. We'll have to see. But one thing that we know for sure is that there are 2 starters who have not been playing for the Suns, Jalen Green and Mark Williams. The title of this show, well, the Suns are about to get a lot better. And we're going to tell you why right after our first break. It's never ordinary with Bet365, and that's for every single sport. MLB playoffs, guess what? Early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead. What about NFL? Offers throughout the season, $10 safety net bet for Thursday Night Football, $365,000 jackpot for Sunday Night Football, and of course, you know, they've got NBA lines. On our pregame show, we'll be doing all sorts of different bets and whatnot and letting you know who's going to win, which is me. I'm going to win the competition this year. And here's another thing that you can win with Bet365. New customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5 win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on the spread, total, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
NBA season is back next week, and you got to find tickets, right? You want to be out there, especially early on. You want to go support your team, in particular the Suns. Well, best place to do it, Steven, you know this. I mean, it's Game Time, and that's where I turn to for all my ticket needs. I've talked about it on this program and on Southwest Bias before. I love going to plays. I love going to sporting events. I love going to concerts, and Game Time has all the tickets that you could want, and you can find them all in their app. I love the Game Time app because it gives the advantage back to the fans, unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Super easy, super intuitive, so easy even my father, who's in his 70s, can do it. That's how easy it is. So I love using it, and I think you should as well. And you can make sure to take the guesswork out of buying NFL and NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the promo code PHNX. Real creative, I know. For $20 off your first time purchase. Terms apply as with everything in life. Again, create an account, use the promo code PHNX, $20 off. Tap, ticket, go, download the Game Time app today.
What time is it, Espo?
Game time. Ooh.
Let's take a breath, chat. Appreciate all of you being here and hanging out with us here on a Monday afternoon. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will be having a pregame show for the first time in preseason tomorrow. Pregame and postgame show all right here on this very channel. So make sure you are subscribed. You can become a member today as well. And every member gets a free super chat, but we've got a regular super chat from Be Calm, See Clearly. Old Freckle Mamba, you know that means you're up.
$2 from BCom, See Clearly. Still no video from Jalen Green. I've been waiting.
And what video would that be,
I
Ayrton?
think we all know what video that is.
I don't. I've been absent. What video is it, Ayrton?
Yeah, go. Just
what is it?
What did they want to?
BCom, See Clearly. I'll keep this very short and sweet. He wants to see Jalen Green twerk.
Oh.
I heard Steven's up after that. So.
No, he's not. Somebody told you wrong.
Well, I'll tell y'all that you can come hang out with the PHNX Sun Devils crew this Friday, not next Friday, this Friday at 5:30 p.m. at Tempe Marketplace Rally House location, October 17th at 5:30 p.m. We're giving away 5 $50 gift cards, plus doing a ton of other fun stuff. Come early. Our show will start at 5:30, but me, Totri, and Shane will hang out, say hi. Totri is going to shake babies and kiss hands. Oh, wait, no. Other way around. Sorry. We appreciate all of you who are going to come join us out at Rally
Totri
House.
and I might need to have a conversation.
Totri will sign your forehead if you bring a marker.
That is all he's allowed to sign.
So make sure that you come hang out with us and
that
maybe walk away with some free merch. $50.
I'll be out there too.
Yeah,
we're helping you hand out the gift cards.
You're going to win a gift card?
No, I'm going to.
Can I win the gift card?
No.
I want to win the gift card.
No shoplifting either.
We're all going to be winners opening night. That is next Wednesday, October 22nd. We're all super excited for it here, obviously for a lot of reasons. But a big part of it is that there are two players that we have not seen play on this team yet, and they just happen to be two of the most important. Jalen Green and Mark Williams. And what we're going to do over the next couple of minutes is we're going to break down how those two guys individually can fit into a lot of the patterns and things that we have seen from the team so far this preseason. So let's go ahead and start with the second most important player on the team, the mainstay in the Kevin Durant trade, Jalen Green. Steven, what is the first thing that pops into your mind when you're trying to imagine Jalen Green and what we've seen from this Suns team so far?
I think it's twofold for me. One is spacing, but two is ball movement. So Ayrton, this is a good time to go ahead and bring up our definition of what a spray pass is. So imagine Jalen Green's in pick and roll. He's getting double teamed in some capacity. What is the teammate, the other four players around him doing? Someone making themselves available for him as an outlet. That's what they've been doing in preseason. It's been Royce O'Neal, ironically, on all of the reps I'm speaking to, but Devin Booker or Colin Gillespie gets double teamed. Royce O'Neal makes himself available from one pass away. He comes a little higher up the floor. That allows for him to then either hit the roller for an assist. He can skip it to the other side of where he catches it from for an open three because the defense is rotating, or he can make an extra pass to the same side he's on, and he's getting an assist that way. That can be Dylan Brooks, that can be Royce, that can be Grayson that's making those passes, but solutions to the coverages that your best players are seeing. We talked about it in the Jalen Green film session last week. Didn't make the best decisions when he was getting two to the ball, but you can live with that as long as you give him an outlet. And it's not just all relying on him. So being able to simplify things for him while also take what it is as a coverage that he typically sees and find ways to manipulate the action around him, all A pluses.
I feel like we need the more you know sounder after after Steven teaches us everything that I need to know. Like I very much appreciate it because I didn't know a spray pass. And I appreciate that. It helps out. For me, I'm gonna go simpler in terms of we've seen a lot of lobs coming in this offense, and I can't wait to see Jalen Green be on the receiving end of one of those bad boys because it's going to be fun to watch out there. This is a more athletic team. He obviously brings it in spades. He's going to do fantastic things out there that this team's been lacking. Not a lot of athleticism over the last few years. Energy kind of guy he's going to connect on one of those dunks we thought Nick Richards might the other day, and going to bring the crowd to his feet and get his teammates into it. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing in a very simplified term, just what he's going to bring in those lob situations and that athleticism.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about pace, and pace has been a really big thing. We've seen so many transition and fast break points for maybe guys you wouldn't expect, whether it is a Grayson Allen who has been able to get out in transition and take advantage of that. Jalen Green's obviously going to fit very well into that, and that's something we've seen that he will be in addition to. I think something that maybe we haven't seen as much that he's going to help bring up the floor of is individual shot creation, right? I love the ball movement that we've been able to see through these preseason games. It's clear that they have an identity. It's clear they all want to share the ball from top to bottom, but there have been a couple moments. I think I specifically look back to the beginning of the second game when the Suns don't get a bucket until like 3-ish minutes in. Sometimes you just need somebody to go out there and do something. And having Devin Booker is great. He's clearly your best option to do that. But all good teams are going to need more than one player to do that. Jalen Green's going to be your guy when there's a lull. He's not going to be afraid to put his head down and get to the rim. He's not going to be afraid to create a shot. Now, we've talked about all offseason, you need to create better shots and choose your spots better. So hopefully he can take a little bit from what we've seen from the team, which is good ball movement, good shot selection, not really forcing anything, and mix that in with his just bullheaded, I'm going to go and I'm going to get a bucket. I think there can be a really fun balance there to give the Suns something that they need and maybe take away something from Jalen's game that he doesn't really need.
I think not having to be the focus of an offense like he had to be in Houston with very little offensive help around him makes it a lot easier to make better shot selection, right? Because there's not that pressure on you. And when you've got Devin Booker, you've got this talent around you like he's going to have. I think we're going to see a natural better shot selection just because of that.
That's the beauty of him playing next to Devin Booker, but also the part that can't be ignored most is being in Jordan Ott's system. It's the simplification of reads and also moving the defense so that he has more point A to point B kind of real estate to work with. I think they also have some things where we saw it a little bit with a Nigel Hayes-Davis or Royce O'Neal or even a Dylan Brooks where they're screening for Devin Booker or Colin Gillespie just to get a more advantageous matchup, and then they get into a pick and roll. So you don't have to deal with the top-tier point of attack defender. You can go up against a lesser defender, and then that gives you more opportunity to be successful. So the system, the players he's with, and I think also his development of skill after the postseason last year and understanding how to be more effective and efficient is all going to add up.
We've talked about how, okay, Devin Booker is going to take a lot of the attention off of him as the primary offensive option. How do you see Jalen Green fitting in with the guys that we've seen off of the bench? Because when Jalen's on the floor and Book is off, you have to imagine there's going to be at least a couple of bench players in there. Have there been any kind of pairings and matchups that you're like, ooh, I'd really like to see Jalen with these group of guys?
I want to see him with Colin Gillespie because that's a guy that's heady, knows how to pass the ball, knows how to run the offense. And again, it takes the pressure off of Jalen from having to be that guy that runs everything, gives him a guy that can help set him up. I want to see that. I'm very interested in that because I think they're committed to Colin being that second unit, one. So what does it look like with Green next to him?
I think the lineup I like that I've enjoyed so far postseason or preseason wise, excuse me for WNBA, NBA language, excuse me. It's been one where Colin is at the point, but I can see Jalen in that same lineup. And that's Jalen with Grayson, Royce, Nigel, and Nick. So you got a bunch of kind of rough and rugged guys. You got a shooter out there with Jalen. And then actually you have Jalen with the ball in his hands often. I think that's a lineup that can get some fun things done on both ends of the floor. And I think it balances out his youthful exuberance with some veteran experience so that he can kind of be steered a little bit.
Is that your new blue-collar boys group there? You like
Jalen? I don't know if Jalen is going to be able to be
get there?
That's my challenge for him this season. He can for sure because he's athletic enough, and I think he cares enough about playing basketball to do it. But you got to sustain to be a blue-collar boy.
You know the season's around the corner when B calls C clearly super chatting again. We'll get to that in a second. I like this basketball conversation that we have going on. I like what Zeke said. Green with Oso pick and roll, or maybe as Aiden might not like in the chat, Steven, the inverted
I got
pick
some
and roll.
bad news for you. You're going to learn about these inverted pick and rolls this season.
I also think just beyond them in direct action, as we welcome back Rich, them in direct action is off-ball action with Jalen Green and Oso as a playmaking hub, especially backdoor cuts and a guy like Jalen who's not going to stop moving and probably is going to be looking for when Oso's on the court, like, hey, I'm the guy. I think the connection between those two, if they can hit their ceiling, that's going to make these bench lineups super fun.
I'm terrified what super chat we're going to get from BComC clearly about off-ball action now. But I love the idea of Oso and Green though, because that's two guys that can make a lot happen. What does that look like? Can we get a double alley-oop maybe? I did all sorts of
double
things.
alley-oop.
Yeah, you lob it to Jalen,
and he lobs it back to
Oso in the dunker spot. Why not? I'm just all the possibilities. It's preseason. That's what this is for. The possibilities to make your imagination run wild. What could this be? How great could it be? And that's what we can look forward to right now, right?
This super chat from BComC clearly has 5 thumbs up in the YouTube chat. So old freckled Mamba, what do they have to say?
$5 from BComC clearly. Can we do a team and staff drop it low? Let's have some fun. It's been a while since we had fun. I need Booker/Green/Brooks to send it directly to me.
We'll work on it, BCom. Steven will ask.
Steven
Prejean Garner, PHNX.
No, that's not him. No, does he sound like me or look
in our chat have been asking for a group drop it low video. Do you think that that's something that would be good for team morale?
Look, I'm going to say this. This team will do it if we get 15 new supporter club members.
We're gonna
in this
do a
show,
drop it low.
We'll do a drop it low. That's
I
how
thought we
much
want people to sign
well,
up.
I don't think they can do
think
it.
we just lost a
I don't
member.
think the chat can
We've
actually
lost
do it.
all of
So,
our members.
I ain't signed up for that, so y'all have fun. Y'all can have fun.
That's
man.
the second mention of Steven twerking that you brought up on this show.
Well, I said all three of us.
Yeah,
I didn't
but, like,
wanna,
he's
I
obviously
didn't
included.
want to put him in a position where it was just him. We all got to do it. I don't even know what twerking is. So,
Ayrton,
the
back to
old man.
basketball. Yes, you do. Ayrton, back to basketball. Is there
That's
a
crazy.
is there a two-man
That's
little group,
crazy.
Green and somebody else that you're looking forward to that we haven't talked about yet?
Yeah, Zeke stole mine. It's Oso and Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green, we've talked about it all offseason. Him off the cuts is going to be something to behold. And I think Oso's playmaking ability on the elbow and the short corners, I think, is a good tandem for Green to get those cuts that we were always talking about.
Well, how about Jalen Green in a center that we haven't seen play yet? How does Mark Williams factor into everything that we've talked about and the players that we've seen play well? We're going to break down his game, talk about his availability status for game 1 of the season, and do a brief little look ahead to tomorrow's Lakers game. We're going to do it all right after our final break. Listen, I love Desert Financial Credit Union, not just because it's for me, but my whole family, right? Me, my parents, my grandparents. I know you've been gone for a little bit, Espo. I don't know if you remember this. My whole family has used Desert Financial Credit Union.
Last time I was here, they said 84 years. I believe it's like 94
Yeah,
now,
94
right? It
years
feels like
now.
a decade.
For however long it's been, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. I, of course, always tell you about the $200 that you get in bonuses when you open up a free checking account online. But I also just want to focus on the fact that they have good people working there for you. Great hours, great availability. You walk in, whatever question you have, whether it's your checkings or savings accounts or mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more, Desert Financial Credit Union is here for you, here for the community. And right now, when you open up a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200.
Have I ever told you that my great-grandpappy actually started Brandon Bills?
No, because that would be a lie.
It would be a total lie, but it did start here in Arizona, in Mesa. Now they're located in Tempe, and I am falling in love with these hats. There is no if, and, or but about it. I am a hat aficionado. I have 70 of them in my closet, including a bucket hat, Steven. And I've slowly been turning them all into Brandon Bills hats because they're the most comfortable, best designs I have seen in the game, bar none. And Steven, they got bucket hats. So I love it, but it's not just that. You can get custom hats if you got a company. We did it here at PHNX. We've got Phoenix on one, a pennant, the logo. I love them, and people always give me great compliments when I wear the Phoenix one, and I've actually had to send them to a few people out there in the media sphere that were like, I need one of those. So you can get your custom hat wearing apparel from our friends at Brandon Bills, who are partners with U of A, ASU, and 40 other universities, as well as the Phoenix Suns. So head to brandonbills.com, use the promo code BB. PHNX, you're going to save 15% off your first order.
Dude, I asked you to not tell people that you were the one who gave me my Phoenix Brandon Bills hat. But here you are, airing out my business to all the wonderful people in chat. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. Of course, to all of our members, we appreciate you so much. With the season starting, we will be having member-exclusive content drop for our Hall of Fame members on this very channel, but you can just join the regular MVP member and get access to all sorts of exclusive emojis that we are going to add a new Suns one because we have added a couple of Suns members recently. So be on the lookout for that as the season is around the corner. The season's around the corner. Mark Williams' debut around the corner. He tells Dwayne Rankin he'll be ready for game 1 of the season. I think it's really obvious how Jalen Green fits into how this team has been playing, Steven. But what about Mark? How does he fit into the principles that we've seen established by the Suns so far?
So I'll start with numbers. The Suns right now are averaging, I think it's 20.4 stocks per game. So 20.4 blocks and steals combined. It's 12.7 steals, which is 3rd in the preseason, and 7.7 blocks, which is 5th in the preseason. Those are very, very good numbers. How sustainable is it remains to be seen, especially when you get to condensing your rotation and only going up against the main rotation of other teams' players. But as a foundation, it's clear that activity and not just being solid defensively is what they want. They want to create more possessions. Mark Williams, a literal and figurative big piece in that. I talked about the coverage with Nick Richards, the ice coverage. They're going to be in the same coverage with Mark Williams. He's bigger than Nick Richards. He's also a little bit more of a deterrent around the rim than Nick Richards has shown to be in a sustainable manner. So if he's in that and they're forcing players to either make other decisions which lead to turnovers or he's outright blocking shots, that's more time in transition, where they've been one of the best in the preseason as well. Everything's kind of adding up piece by piece. So having Mark around for the defense, but then on the offensive side, the finishing around the basket efficiently, effectively, one of the best in the league with that, to give a defense something to think about when Jalen Green is getting downhill or Devin Booker's getting downhill. Now those guys are getting layup opportunities or free throws. It's kind of a domino effect. And I think that his size is going to be something that really hits for a team that has played bigger than they are at this present moment without him in the preseason.
Yeah, everybody wants to look at Jalen Green and assume his offense is the key. And it's important, but I think Mark Williams is the key to this season and how far you can go. Everything you spoke to, but also it comes down to his health. If he's out there, he's going to be a top 10 center in this league. And people forget he's 23. This is not some guy that is not, he's not over the hill. There's nothing outside of, can he stay out there? And I've been told by sources. I've been told they have a plan for him. They have a plan for everybody.
I'm glad.
But I hope, what I hope is that this staff does have the right approach where Charlotte didn't necessarily, and they can unlock that. Now, he's not going to play all 82. There's very
Don't say that. We're not ruling out anything.
I'm going to say 81. 81 because they're not going to need the 82nd game because they're going to be locked in to the 2 seed.
Okay.
So he'll get to sit out. But no, to me, that if this plan that they've developed actually can keep him on the court for a majority of the time, you're right. Changes the perception on defense and makes them even more interesting on offense, and then gives Oso kind of a change of pace in that second unit. There's all sorts of things that kind of cascade from that. He is my key to this season being better than a lot of people think it can be.
He's certainly a floor and a ceiling raiser if he plays. I really am looking forward to the offensive chemistry that he's hopefully going to be able to develop, but we've seen from a baseline a guy like Nick Richards, and I'm not trying to hate on Nick Richards, but he's not as good offensively as Mark Williams, has easily found his role in this offense. Ighodaro, with his offensive limitations, have easily found his role in this offense. Mark, you're able to get a little bit more creative with. I'm wondering how often they're going to let him go and post up and how much he will just be a play finisher instead of a play initiator. I also think that when we talk about the ball movement side of things, Mark Williams is an extremely talented passer. Maybe not the same zip as Ighodaro, but as far as effectiveness goes, he is somebody who can play make very well. I really, really, really think him and Devin Booker are going to gel a lot. This should be, since DeAndre Ayton, the most athletic center that he's been able to play with that also has a lot of skill. And that, I think, is just going to give Book a little bit of an extra release valve when it comes to getting double teamed or when he's getting a pick and roll and he gets a lot of attention or he gets blitzed. I think Mark's going to get a lot of easy baskets and be able to create some of the more difficult ones when needed.
I like the idea of, you talk about him kind of starting that break with good defense and being that trailer who comes barreling down the lane and maybe get some easy buckets that way too. There's so much that you can do with a talent like him, and he'll never be your offensive focal point, but it gives you additional options. And with what we've seen Jordan Ott already experimenting with, it's going to be fun to see what he's able to do with Mark Williams when he gets out there.
Question for y'all. Ayrton, I would like to hear your thoughts on this too. Which center do you feel is most apt to complement Devin Booker and Jalen Green? Like, is it the same for both? Is it one specifically for each guard? How are you processing that?
I do think it's Mark. I think
Mark for who?
For both. I like Oso and Jalen because of Oso's playmaking, but I think Mark is still a good enough playmaker that he's going to be able to do a lot of what Oso can do, and then his offensive ceiling is just so much higher that he will take attention off of those two, and I think that just makes their life a little bit easier.
I think it might be Oso, depending on how it develops, because then you've got a third guy that can can actually be the playmaker out there and handle some of initiating offense, which we hear, who's the point guard? We've learned in the NBA it doesn't always have to be a guard that initiates offense, right? That's been made abundantly clear over the last decade. So can Oso develop into a guy that in part you can use him? Did I just steal Freckled Mamba's here? Oh, okay.
Somebody disliked the video when Freckled Mamba said like the video in chat. He asked who did it, and I said it was me. Who do you think, Freckled?
Mine is also Mark Williams. I think just the athleticism, the way the NBA is right now, you kind of just have to lean that way first and then see what happens with someone like Oso and someone like Nick.
I think for Devin is going to be Oso. And I say that because the aggressive double teams that Devin gets, the most perfect counterpunch is a strong short roll decision maker. And Oso is the best passer that's not named Devin Booker on the roster. Because of that, I think that's why he fits hand in glove like a puzzle piece right next to Devin Booker. But for Jalen, it might just be Mark Williams because you get a rim pressure guard that opposing bigs are always on high alert for. That's opening up a window for a lob. And he hasn't had a lob threat as a center option with him yet. Similarly, you could say, I guess we could throw Colin in there. I think Colin and Mark is a natural meshing of two players as well. But I think for the two younger guards, it's definitely Mark. And for me, with Devin, is Oso because of the short roll reads.
I also like with Oso and Book, even though I don't know if he's the best option, but one of the things I do like, because I think they fit well, is, and you saw this in the last game, is Oso's been driving to the paint and attacking from higher up on the court and putting his head down. Now, is it always extremely effective? No, but I like that he's not just kind of going for the basic floater every time. I think it was even like the second bucket of the game yesterday. He drove and he scored. If Book is getting trapped and he dumps it to Ighodaro, who's just above the free throw line, instead of Oso just stopping and looking to pass every time, Oso taking one dribble, he's athletic enough to go in and boom. He's probably, like, Mark is extremely athletic and Nick is extremely athletic. Oso is the most athletic off of a dribble, right? He's the most one who's like liable to kind of spring up out of nowhere. So I think that's really good, but the reason why I still think it's Mark for Book, even though they're both good options, is the offensive capabilities with Mark just kind of hit so much higher. And I don't, like, the playmaking is worse than Oso for sure, but I think playmaking is the most underrated part of his game. I think if Mark had been maybe a couple notches below playmaking where he is now, then it would be Oso. But I think it's close enough that all the other strengths that Mark has still makes him the best choice with Book, even though they're both good.
Well, I think it's obviously going to depend too on time of the game, like what's the situation, and how does it play out as well. Like we talked about, Oso may not be able to be out there at end of games. Is it Mark? Yeah. Like one thing I have a lot more confidence in this year than I have over the last few is that Jordan Ott's going to put these guys in the right situations to succeed offensively, where we didn't see that over the last few years. So.
Rich says, and Rich is a Houston fan, just for context, says Jalen needs space to get to the cup. Does Phoenix have enough of a shooting threat?
They might not have enough of a shooting threat, but you have to respect people that are moving if you're a defense. And that's where the Jordan Ott part of it all, which I continue to harp on, it's less about the personnel, it's more about the system. If guys are moving, you have to move in respect to your matchup. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay. You can give mediocre shooters wide open opportunities. If they're wide open, these are professional players. They're going to knock down a respectable amount. It might be 34 for some guys in comparison to someone like Grayson, who's knocking down 42% of wide open opportunities, but that's great shot quality that teams are going to be okay with taking. And you put that in tandem with, if people are moving around, that means there's more offensive rebounding opportunities, which leads into another kind of bucket that this team is wanting to lean into more.
And this isn't the last, especially last year where it was one guy initiating and four guys standing around. To your point, that's why it probably will work better than if this were last year and you put Jalen Green in the situation with a Mike Budenholzer offense. So.
I think also underrated with Jalen and just the center conversation that we've just kind of impromptu dived into is small ball fives, whether that is going to be Dylan Brooks, who can guard five, Ryan Dunn, who we saw in spurts last year, maybe a Rasheer if he's able to get there. having somebody who does have a little bit more of a jump shot than any of those other center options and can spread the floor out and let him work, but still be athletic enough in Ryan Dunn's case to catch a lob. I mean, how we've seen Dylan Brooks catch some lobs, and we've seen Rasheer show some really great flashes. He's also had some not so great ones as well. I think that's going to be interesting. If you're going to go full pace, 3-point shooting, putting Jalen in there with a small ball 5, I think is a really enticing option.
Well, I think the only small ball 5 option they have is Oso. Because
I guess like a super small lineup.
Dylan and Nigel and Royce can guard 5s, but they're not going to. It doesn't hit the same as if it's Oso. I don't know if their small ball 5s are big enough to play that like a Draymond can, because Draymond plays. He's 6'6", but he plays like a 7-footer because of his impact defensively. Those guys are good at it, but they're good if there's a center still on the floor if they're guarding those 5s. It's not if they're guarding those 5s, and it's 4 smaller players on the court with them, if you will.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I see where you're getting at with it. There is lineup versatility there for them, for sure.
And that's why also the idea of Kaman Malawach being able to shoot threes is so enticing to have somebody who could do a little bit of everything and step out, which we don't expect him to do. Like, that is, in theory, the best combination with Jalen. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's the hope, that at some point you get some second unit minutes where Kaman can be that guy with Jalen and you ease into that, like we were talking about earlier. I don't expect it in that first month, I don't think, but maybe when we're looking at January, February, as they ease into it and you get some of those additional minutes, you'll get some looks like that.
Any other players, I guess, if we just kind of bring it back to Mark Williams specifically, we know that his tandem with Devin Booker, with Jalen Green, even maybe with Colin Gillespie, it's going to be so important for this team. Anybody else that kind of is a fun two-man duo? I kind of look at Grayson Allen as two guys that can create gravity. Is Mark Williams probably the best at creating gravity in the paint, and Grayson Allen the best at creating gravity behind the three-point line? Even if they're not directly impacting each other, I think those two on the court at the same time makes the other 3 players' lives just so much easier with hopefully what Jordan Ott is scheming up as an offensive game plan with those 5.
I'm intrigued by seeing at some point Kaman and Mark on the court. I don't know that it's the bet, but I'm intrigued by it because they obviously had something in mind on draft night when they went and got both guys. And I don't know if it was simply Mark can be that guy. Now a starting center, Kaman could eventually be. But in my head, initially, you get things dancing around like, well, if Kaman can hit that 3, is there some crazy super defensive lineup that you have both those guys out there, and it gives you a weird versatility offensively? Eventually, I'd like to see that if it could have any legs to it.
Yeah, for me, I'm taking it to the defensive end, and that's the defensive pairings of him with Dylan Brooks in the front court. So Dylan guarding centers and Mark being on non-shooters in the lineup and him being able to just roam around the basket and blow things up off the ball while also staying around the paint as often as he can, and him making some of the rotations that comes with covering up drives for his teammates. Also, directly in pick and roll. So if Mark Williams is guarding a person that's screening and it's Ryan Dunn that's at the point of attack, I want to see that because I feel like that's the bones of that trio in different factions is the foundation of what they want to be defensively. I imagine they're guarding the most actions in tandem with one another.
Much better answer than mine.
I'm definitely looking forward to Jared Butler and Mark Williams and seeing what that dynamic duo.
What is that? Is Mark going to have to do a stint in the G League to get ready?
Right.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of people are kind of making fun of Suns fans for being optimistic at this moment after just a couple of preseason games and a couple of good preseason showings. Adding Jalen and adding Mark is going to add so much to this team and so many different layers on both sides of the ball that it's hard not to think with what they've already shown that this team is not going to at least be competitive this year. Now, what's your definition of competitive? For a lot of people, it's not super high this year, but they have a lot of players that can create advantages and take advantage of disadvantages. I'm really excited to see how those two figure in.
Can we get the 2 shot because I don't think Steven's gonna want.
Can we do this in overtime first?
Yeah, you want? Yeah, we can. We can
this
go to
is
overtime.
An overtime. If you're watching on TV, the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com for whatever the hell he's going to do. It's going to happen in overtime. Hit that like button and I guess brace yourself.
Overtime is that? I'm not gonna look. I'm.
You
just,
can
look when I don't care what other people out there in the media sphere or other fans think about Suns fans. After the last few years, we've earned every second of trying to be optimistic and enjoying what's going on now and what might go on in this season. I know a certain someone was like, well, it's easy to have vibes when there's no expectation.
We'll talk about that.
Sure, okay. But you know what? I'd rather have vibes and hope than not have any of it, which is where we've been the last few years. So knock on Suns fans all you want, but there's promise here. And that's a lot more than we felt last year when there was no hope and darkness, essentially, that we were staring at. So I'll take where we're at right now and mainlining hopium over anything else.
I thought you were going to say something way worse than that.
I thought about it, but then I was like, you know what? We'll save that for after dark.
I thought that was good. Okay, well, so my dad, whose birthday it is, happy birthday, Dad. Let me be the first to say, you assholes.
It is $3.59.
Hey,
$1.99.
let me say this. Cut the shit, all
Yeah,
right?
$1.99 from my dad says, any comments on Katie trashing the Suns on Twitter? Look, I thought it was a really funny way of admitting that you failed to live up to expectations. I thought it was great.
But look, I was listening to the NBA Daily, the athletic podcast on my way in. It was all about the Rockets today, and I'm hearing them talk, and I go, this sounds like the last 2 years talking about the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like that it is a situation that's going to feel eerily familiar to what went on here. And I'd much rather be sitting right now with the hope of what could be than the expectation of what has to be. And that's the weight that we carried, because we all knew it was championship or it was a complete and utter failure. And we got complete and utter failure in ways that we did not expect were possible.
I think two things can be true. I think what you all are saying is very factual as far as them not meeting expectations, and that's one way of saying it, just in a way that benefits the person that is saying it. But I think what he said is true too.
He's not wrong.
100%.
Vibes are easy to come across when there's not really expectations attached to them. That's why the 21 Suns team was much more fun than the 22 team and the 23. And then after that, you know how it did dwindle with each week year that went by since then. So two things can be true, but I think y'all are very appropriate in what you're saying, because
I will just say this. I think, like, I still have KD stands coming at me being like you suck, dude. I'm like, move on. Like, just move on. Like, why do you still care that we like Dylan Brooks? Like, why do you care?
Whatever.
They're losers, dude. They're all losers.
You're Houston's problem, not mine. Like,
they're making them my problem.
but
they're making themselves my problem.
Steven, to your point, though, like, Arizona sports it folds under the weight of expectation, right? So we enjoy this space because we've been trained to feel that if there is expectation, the roof is just going to collapse. That the weight of that isn't going to actually make you rise to the occasion. It's going to make you drown. And I think that's the excitement. But guess what? As we started the show with, I fixed it. We broke the curse. Everything's in alignment. So the weight of expectation or the hope of vibes is all going to be good. Alignment.
I didn't know we were going the psychology route as far as being conditioned to think things a certain way through because of previous experiences. But here we are in overtime.
Hey, look, some fan bases merely adopted the dark. We were born in it. We were molded by it.
Which is kind of ironic considering that we cover the Suns.
Yeah, we've lived under an eclipse.
Speaking of eclipse, Luka Doncic walking in front of the sun.
It's less of an eclipse than it was last year, according to
he looks the
Men's
same,
Health.
Dude. He looks the same, and we'll get our first look at Luka, according to Dave McMenamin of ESPN, saying Luka will make his preseason debut tomorrow as the Suns take on the Lakers.
Let's say the Valley Suns take on the Lakers.
Dude, which is just so crazy. The Lakers still have 3 preseason games left.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And
the Wizards are playing a back-to-back in the preseason.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes, they played
dude,
yesterday.
That's fucking insane,
yes,
bro.
They
That's
played
so
yesterday
stupid.
and they played tonight. It makes absolutely no sense the way the schedule is set up. The Suns play a day after traveling from China and then have 8 days off before their first game of the regular season. None of this makes sense at all.
Well, let's be honest. The NBA went, is it really going to hurt the Wizards to play back-to-back in the preseason?
Also true.
Bro, they're gonna do double headers on the same night for the Wizards. It'll be like you're gonna play Orlando, then you're gonna play Charlotte.
Wizards fans are like, can we just play 82 nights straight and get this pain over with right away?
Dude,
like
back-to-back in preseason is hilarious. It's also it's crazy though. Like as much as it sucks that there's a preseason game, like literally 36 hours after you played in China. The Suns do have 3 games in 4 nights to start the season, which is there's always some BS like that because they play opening night, they have a day off, and they have a back-to-back on the road, Clippers and Denver. And at least there's going to be somewhat of a sustained break between Tuesday, aka tomorrow, and then next Wednesday.
Well, at least it's not difficult teams in those 3 nights.
Yeah,
3
on
games
the road in
4
Denver,
nights.
and then on the road against the Wall and Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be those quirks in the schedule. I don't
save it for the regular season.
Yeah,
Not the preseason.
Back-to-back so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Back-to-back
is crazy.
They should have just played the Suns Wednesday.
And
Wednesday. Just give them an extra day.
A back-to-back for the Suns is basically what they're doing now. Going from plane to
36
MMC.
hours in between
Honestly,
China
though,
and the Lakers.
I don't mind it because usually at this point, the last game of preseason, you're not going to be
that's
playing your main guys.
Yeah, that's
so
facts.
so it doesn't bother me that much. And I think the Suns always knew. I mean, I've talked with people. They made it clear. They always knew that this was going to be a game that you weren't going to see any of the main guys. And then they get essentially another mini training camp going into it to work on their stuff, which I think is probably more valuable in trying to put your new systems in to have that dedicated practice time than worrying about the 4th preseason game being Thursday instead of Tuesday. So you had a couple days extra rest from China. They're not playing anybody of any significance tomorrow. They never were going to play Jalen Green or Mark Williams. Mark Williams, I don't think ever was going to play in the preseason. Every time they said plan, that I think that's what they were saying. And then once Jalen pulled something, why risk it? Like, why mess with it? So I don't have a huge problem about them playing tomorrow.
I would just rather have seen Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
Yeah, just give them a day.
Fair.
I don't get why it's so rushed.
It does suck that it's the one home preseason game.
Right, yeah, it's the one home preseason game. Like you're got, Devin Booker going off in China. We go back, you got 36 hours, and now Damian Bao is playing in front of the Suns fans at the morgue.
Hey,
shout out Damian Bao, man.
I'm just saying, just pointing out facts.
Me too. Shout him out.
Yeah, shout out.
Maybe it's appropriate that we're calling it the morgue tomorrow because there's going to be all these guys that likely aren't going to be on the roster and will be in Tempe.
Dude, it's real CJ Huntley hours.
Yeah, this should be a 40-minute Kobe Bryant, 30-ish minute.
Kobe's going to take like 40 shots.
Let the young boys run is key number 1 for tomorrow's game.
Enjoy your playing in front of the hometown crowd and go get your minutes. And that it's an irrational excitement kind of game. There's always some preseason performance that people are like, oh my God, or that last game of the season where Alec Peters of the world dropped 39 points. Well,
dude, that was real.
Let's enjoy whatever random thing's gonna happen on Tuesday.
You know what their kind of token is? You get to go up against Luka Doncic in your first game.
Why not?
Throw him into the water.
Yeah, go enjoy guarding Luka, all right?
Is Kobe Bryant going to drop Luka tomorrow?
Kobe Bryant is going to light him up.
Kobe Bryant is going to have 5 3-pointers tomorrow.
For sure. Maybe 6.
Because
possibly
nobody
4.
else is going to shoot.
Why not?
I will say this. One last thing before we get out of here to kind of round out the China trip is, talk about getting irrationally excited. And I fall into this category. I think Suns fans kind of got irrationally excited to see Devin Booker smile so much in this post-game clip about Dylan Brooks and his Labubu.
Actually, last playoffs, I noticed that you carry a Labubu by yourself. And this time you're in China, in Macao. Did you get a chance to go to those, like a store to storage those Labubu because it's still very trending?
Yeah, I like the Labubus. I got like 4 of them. I like the trend. It's cool and it's cute.
Devin, I know you're a very trending guy. I heard you probably heard Labubu. So how do you make a comments on Darren's Labubu tips?
I'm gonna get him one for his birthday. that's coming up right now.
I think they're cute.
Okay, one more.
I mean, that's wholesome.
I completely question Devin Booker's decision-making process, saying he thinks they're cute. There's nothing cute about a Labubu.
Oh, they're cute.
No.
They're
That's
definitely
like when
cute.
people see me with my wife and they go, she must have lost a bet to marry that guy. That is not cute.
You just can compare yourself to a Labubu?
I did.
And I thought you were going to get in a lot of trouble when you started saying,
no,
when I'm walking around my wife.
I'm comparing me to Labubu. Also, one thing, people making fun of LeBron sciatica, I got a case of that while I was in San Diego. There's nothing to laugh about with that. That is worse than the Labubu, all right? It is worse than that.
Sciatica versus Labubu. This is all that Steven ever expected.
Both
when he
are
started
pains
getting
in the
into
ass,
basketball
all
career.
right? So.
Don't hate on the Labubus. The Labukbu is going to go crazy.
Oh my god,
Steven, where do you weigh in on Labubus? What's your
Oh,
scouting?
dude, he
report?
has like five.
I just found out about Labubus when,
No, bro, you
when
got like
on
five
Friday.
clipped on your backpack, bro.
Asia Wilson was talking about hers, and then on Sunday we get to the Suns game, and now Dylan Brooks is talking about his, and I'm like, okay, I didn't know this was a thing until now.
I didn't know until about 4 months ago, so don't feel
I just
too
found
bad.
out 2 days ago.
Y'all sleep
2.5
on
days
Labubus.
ago.
Y'all sleep.
They're like a blind bag thing too. Like
Yeah.
people are buying it like it's a lottery ticket, and I'm like, it's a Labubu. Like it's
It might be a
creepy
lottery
looking.
ticket.
There's a whole backstory about how it came about
Yeah.
too. It's
A lot of people are selling fake
Melissa
Labubus
said
out
we should
there.
have a PHNX Labubu.
yeah. You know what? We'll
Labubu
see
Nux?
what we can do. Meatloaf, Espo, no.
A Phoenix Labubu is
Phoenix
probably
Labubu would kind of go crazy.
probably the coolest.
Somebody out there could probably make that.
Deborah wants Labubu night. out at
Labubu
the
night?
morgue.
Everybody like waves their Labubus up in the air.
Wearing a little what is it? Mortgage
Matchup Center Labubu?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a
MMC
little
Labubu.
jersey.
Mortgage Matchup Center Labubu was not a string of words I ever thought I was going to say in my life.
That's crazy.
But here we are. Any final thoughts as we wrap up on a very fun Monday show? Get into pregame, postgame tomorrow. Of course, Steven will be at the game, so Espo and I will be holding it down for you here in studio.
Bigger pain in the ass for LeBron, Luka being part of the team or the sciatica?
You forgot DeAndre Ayton.
Oh, well, that's different. that is different altogether.
DeAndre Ayton is a walking Labubu.
That's
you,
crazy.
you think LeBron's back is stiff. That's
Yeah.
a stiff of a different kind. So.
Any final thoughts, Steven?
How am I supposed to follow any of that?
That's not my job to
conversation?
figure out. That's your job to figure out.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of PHNX, Sons. That's the host, Erik Ruby. You can follow him on Twitter at ERIKRUBY. That's Espo. You can follow him on Twitter at Espo, ESPO. I'm Steven. You can follow me on Twitter at StevenPG3. Freckle Mamba, at him on Freckle Mamba on Twitter. I don't know what they talking about, but we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.